Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Out and About AF. I'm your host, Gabe, and this is another Unfiltered AF episode. Now, before we dive into our topic, I do want to bring up a question that I got from the previous topic where I was doing way too much, to make up for all the stuff that I was doing when I was drinking. And, they're like, well, why do you find yourself doing that now? And I honestly really do think that it's almost kind of like a guilt, like I felt guilty for everything that I did, like I'm doing so much now just in terms of everything that's going on, right? But like I'm trying to make up for all the bad stuff that I did. And, I'm starting to learn and realize that I have to let that go. That is a older version of me that is someone who just kept having to try to perform for everybody. And now I'm realizing now that I'm performing for myself. I'm doing things for myself. And I think the more that I go on, especially in the second year of sobriety, it's okay to just do the bare minimum, if that makes sense. Not the bare minimum, but don't overdo it. And it is definitely a balance. It's something that I'm still going to continue to learn. And, even a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, I had a full on crash out. I was in one of my sobriety meetings and someone was telling their story and it just kind of hit home and it kind of made me realize just everything that I was doing and it just got caught up. I started crying in the meeting and even had to go off camera and just kind of broke down a little bit. And for me to cry, that's a big deal. Like I don't really cry. And so, but it did remind me, that I do have to take it easy and it's okay if I let things go and so yeah, I'm still learning about it. It's still it's a journey, right? So yeah, so I hope that answers your questions. Please continue everyone to send the feedback and I really like hearing y'all's perspective and cuz I'm learning. Every day is a new day, right? So all right. So I definitely want to talk about summertime. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can see I have now dyed my hair. It's supposed to be a lilac lavender color, but it washes out very quickly. So we're getting back to the blonde. But, summer for me, it used to be just day drinking and on a Friday and Saturday and, go to a pool party and get drunk and it just never ended well, right? And so now I still enjoy going to all these things. They just look a lot different, right? And so, I put this out to the community, when it comes to summertime and summer events, like what are you doing to prepare yourself? What are the things, is it a trigger? It's for a lot of people, it is, you go out and a cold beer looks amazing and on a patio with the sun shining and it's always a really good feeling, right? But what do you do for yourself to make sure that you're protecting your sobriety? So I put this out and I got some really good responses from my community. So we're going to kind of dive into each one and go from there. So, um yeah, again, so the first one was having something to say, or how do I put it? Having a list of kind of responses to if someone's asking, well, why aren't you drinking or anything like that? And to me, I always say, tell them what you want, what you feel comfortable. I for sure had a couple of things that I had geared up, right? I practiced, oh, I'm just not drinking right now, or I'm not drinking tonight. Or I'm on antibiotics or I am trying to lose some weight, especially with summer, right? And trying to lose some lbs, and so I would have those. But then it gets to a point where I'm like, no, I just don't drink. Like, and I think that does come with some time under your belt, right? For you to feel comfortable and feel confident, to where you can say, I just don't drink, and or I am drinking, I'm just drinking my club soda, or I'm drinking Coke, or whatever it is, Um, I think it just comes with some practice, some confidence, and really just not giving a shit at some point, and that's kind of where I was. I reached that pretty early on, I'm just not drinking. Sorry about it. Like, don't know what to tell you on that one. But, I think it is kind of common that you do kind of have your stuff built up. And if it makes you feel comfortable, go for it. Why not? Right. Another thing that came up with is alcohol is everywhere, right? No matter where you go. And one thing, if you can't be in those spaces, that's okay. If you can't be around alcohol just because you're going to be tempted or whatever it is, it's okay to not go to those places. I've people in my community, they haven't gone to places, they haven't gone back to bars, or, they don't go to barbecues, or they don't go to these things where they usually drink because they don't want to tempt themselves. And that's totally fine. You know, you don't, maybe after some time you can go and you can you can go back to it, maybe after you get some time, some more confidence, and a better handle on handling these triggers, right? For myself, I kind of dove right back in. I've said it before. I used to be a bartender, um, back in college, so I'm okay with being around in a bar setting, and um, being around where alcohol is, because I did try to drink when I was bartending one time, and I was a hot mess. I didn't make money, and we all know in the service industry, a dollar, every dollar counts, right? Because that's your paycheck. So I always said I'm never drinking while bartending, and so I've been around. I've been fortunate enough to be able to go back into these spaces, and I understand it's not for everybody, but for myself, I can do that. Um, and yeah, I think something that I recently talked with a friend about is, and I don't want to like say that well, actually, there is. um, there is a difference between gay bars and straight bars. Gay bars are more than just alcohol. Gay bars are a place for us to go to see our friends, to have conversations, because some of those people are our chosen family. Compared to, quote unquote, a straight bar. Yes, you still go and you still talk and you still have everything, but there's other things that you can go back to. You can go and you have kids, and but with times coming, queer couples and everything, they are having kids and stuff. But on just a general level of that, there is a difference. So when I go to a bar, there's charity events going on. There's a trivia night, and there's all these things that don't necessarily revolve around alcohol, at least for myself. Um, so I just kind of want to make that distinction. But and then another thing was, is how do we normalize this? If summertime is our favorite time to kind of to be out, to go outside, I love the water, like getting in a pool, and I'm the one swimming, not swimming, but I will be in the pool. If you go to a lot of pool parties, sometimes they're just all outside talking, and I'm like, no, you'll see me in the pool. Especially in Texas, it's too damn hot. Um, but how do we just normalize these challenges? And it's just like, I don't even know if I have a real response for that. It's, if you can't go, like, it's okay. Like, I've told some of my clients before, like, you have to make, we started kind of talking about FOMO. That kind of popped up, right? And if you can't go to those things, it's okay. I kind of said it earlier. If you can't go to those things, it's totally fine. Create something for yourself that you can go out that is going to be equally as fun. If you can't go to the barbecue, if you can't go to the pool party or, whatever it is, go out and take yourself out. Take yourself out to a nice dinner. Take yourself out to see a movie. Or I think I use um, the example of I'm going to watch, I'm going to stay home. I'm going to get all my favorite snacks. I'm going to get into some comfy clothes. I'm going to get a blanket, a candle, because I like to treat myself very nicely. And just kind of make a whole night of it, kind of make a whole event, to where it's just as fun. And I think, yeah, you still might have a little bit of it, but still enjoy the time, enjoy that moment, because that is a moment for you to reset yourself and relax. And I need to take my own advice on that. Just it's okay to relax. So, yeah, there's all these things. And it's just, I think with time, yeah, it might suck now, but then I always say, like, so say you go and you're not ready and you drink. All the time that you've built up already, yeah, you still have that time. That's never going to be taken away from you. But, do you start back at one, day one, or do you just skip the day? To me, it's just such a long. I've experienced this. I had a relapse, 3 months in, and I went through this whole thing, this whole battle of, do I start over? Do I not? It's a mind mess. I don't want to say the word, but yeah. So I would just normalize, like, this is going to happen. These parties are going to come up, or the barbecues are going to happen and stuff. And it's okay to not go. It's okay to go. But if you do go, I always say, have a plan, right? And, in a lot of sober spaces, they talk about your toolbox, right? Use the tools and stuff. And like I said before, I go to a lot of pool parties that, you know, it's Texas, it's hot. So we go to the pool on the weekends, pretty much almost every day, or every weekend, excuse me. So I just made up, instead of my toolbox, I'm taking my ice chest. And there's a couple of things in there that everything has to line up or I'm not going. My first one is my mindset. I have to make sure that I'm in the right headspace, that I want to go, that I'm excited to go. I have to make sure that my sobriety is strong and it's intact. Um, for example, on Fridays when we go to happy hours, I make sure I'm in a meeting at 7 o'clock. So afterwards, I feel good. I'm in the right headspace. Sometimes I feel good to go out. And sometimes I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stay in, you know? So that's first and foremost. If you're feeling off about it, don't go. But if you're excited about it and, you want to see people and everything, go. Second thing is, in our ice chest, is pack your own drinks. And for myself, I like to switch it up. So I will have coconut water. I'll have some NA beers if I feel like it. I will also have stuff to make a mixed drink. My one of my favorites is ginger beer, half Sprite with some limes. It's somewhat of a Moscow Mule kind of, but it's the ginger beer that just kind of really gets it. But I also have some Dr. Peppers. Y'all, if anybody knows me, y'all know I love Dr. Pepper. So that's always good. Dr. Pepper and, yeah, some waters too. It gets hot, hydrate. But I like to have a variety because I like to switch it up, and knowing that no matter where I go, as long as I have my drinks, I'm good. And if you are feeling awkward, feeling like, oh, because the cans, if you're drinking a non-alcoholic on a beer can, it'll say, 0, and it kinda, like, highlights it, so it could be a little, there might be a little, like, embarrassment or whatever it is. There are coolers that you can get, little can coolers that cover up the entire thing. Not just like a koozie, but like a whole can thing. It keeps it cold and you don't have to worry about it. You can just tell people "Oh, just drinking a beer," whatever you wanna do. But, and if you have a drink in a solo cup or a plastic cup, honestly, again, I'll say this, it blew my mind when I realized no one asked me why I wasn't drinking, if I had something, if I had a drink in hand. No one asked what was in it. They just automatically assumed it was alcohol. So, um, next one, and this one is, I think, one of the most important is have someone or tell someone that you're not going to drink. That, hey, I'm going to this event or whatever it is. I might be a little nervous at points. Can you check in? Like, just have someone there for some accountability, for some support, for for some support. Someone that you trust. That maybe you've confided in them if you're not telling anybody yet. That way you can have someone to rely on. And if it is really that important, or ask them not to drink with you. I mean, they can say no, but who knows? So that, to me, I think just having someone there just to help you, um, early on, me and my husband, like, I would say, "Hey, can you go get me a drink?" If I was feeling a little nervous, because that was my way of telling him. So have have a safe word, pineapple, cupcake, whatever it is, just have that conversation with that person, and um it just makes it a lot easier, you know. Um, for myself in my ice chest, again, I'm part of the sober motivation community, and we have an app. Um, I'll put a plug for them. They just launched a new amazing app. Um, and there's a community thing. It's kind of like a social feed, and there's just people in there. And I just went in, and if I was feeling a little nervous or a little off, I would just go in there and just read people's wins, read people's struggles, and just see what they're all doing, right? And it just kind of takes my mind out of it, and it was just a comfort. I don't do it as much anymore, but it really helped in the beginning of trying to go there. I take my car, um, or I will drive, or I will take a Uber if I have to. Like, I need to have an exit plan. You know, if I need to get up and go in a quick, and it's only happened twice for me, where I was at an event, and at events, and I was like, I'm just not feeling this. Like, I think I was maybe there 30, 45 minutes, and I was like, just not it. And then I decided to go, and I felt okay with it because I was like, okay, well, I have my car. We're good. Like, I can go. And then the last one is, it's okay to leave. Free will. I remember I was recording a podcast with one of my guests, and they're like, "Free will, who knew?" Right? And I'm like, yeah. Like, when I discovered, like, I don't have to stay till the end, or I don't have to keep pushing to stay till the end. I can just leave. I don't have to say anything to anybody. I don't have to give explanations to anybody. I can just leave. And once I learned that, I was like, wow. It was just mind blowing how that actually helped. So, that is everything that goes into my ice chest. It's basically, it is your toolbox. I just call it my ice chest because I always take an ice chest. Um, but it's just the things that get you through this. And I make sure I always have it, but I'm not relying on it as much as I used to. I still make sure, but number one, I still make sure my mindset is right before I go. Um, but yeah, just a couple of other things that some of the people in my community talked about. Um, and this is kind of where I kind of somewhat agree, but somewhat not. Some people said to show up early. Like if you're not too comfortable, which I agree with this one, but if you show up early, you can leave early. To me, yes, if you're planning on showing up maybe 30 minutes before and then you're maybe staying 20, 30 minutes after, great. But if you're just showing up early to try to stay, for a while, I would say no. I would say or at least what I did was I showed up late where because everybody was already settled. They already had a drink in hand and they were well on their way to doing, they're in their own little world. Um, so all I had to do is just kind of go in, say my highs, hi, 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 grab my drink, and then I'm on my way. And I always leave early. My thing is the first time I hear a repeated story or if someone starts slurring, I'm out. I'm like, all right, this was fun. Love you to bits, but I gotta go. Because then I just know it might just go downhill for that for myself. Like I'm not gonna have a good time. Because before that, I love to have conversations. I love to talk to people and just get to know them. And it's just like I want to get to know you a little bit before you get drunk. Um, and so yeah, I mean, I show up late, I leave early. That's kind of what I do now. Yeah, so that's kind of just I think I already hit on other ones. I hit on a lot of the other ones of what they said. So, but yeah, those are the kind of tips that I was thinking. But ultimately, like I said, I try to stress this before. You don't always have to go to stuff, especially early on in sobriety. Like, don't feel like you have to go and to every little thing you're invited to because you think you might be missing out or you don't want to miss if you don't go to these events, are you still going to get invited later? You will. It trust me. There was quite a few things that I just did not go to and I still get invited. It's not the end of the world. And if they do stop inviting you and if they do, you know, it's okay. There's going to be other people that you can put your energy into that are going to meet you where you're at, and if they're not inviting you, if they're not reaching out, were they really your friends? You know, you definitely have to lean in with what's right for you. So if that means you need to find sober friends, a sober community, do it. No, I say it all the time. I would still be drinking if I didn't find my community. And so I do owe a lot to them but I think being in that community has also made me strong enough and confident enough to go out and do all these things. So again, do what's right for you. And remember, summer is long, especially in Dallas. And I mean, we're having pool parties until what, September? So it is a long time. And so give yourself grace. This is a what do they call it? It's a marathon, not a not a sprint. So all right. Well, um that is it for this podcast episode. But I do want to leave you a question. And one of the things I want to talk about is how do we get out of our own way? How do we, you know, if something's uncomfortable, what do we do? Do we turn and run or do we face it head on? Um, because I'm probably not going to announce it anytime soon, but I just signed up to do something that is totally out of my comfort zone. something I've always kind of thought about doing, but alcohol held me back. So that's coming soon. Um, so yeah, I just want to hear back from y'all. What does hold you back? What are those limiting beliefs that keep you in your tight little bubble? So, all right, everybody. Until next episode, thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and definitely comment. I definitely want to hear from y'all. So, um, yeah, make sure you take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in the next one. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you connected with this episode, feel free to comment and leave us a review. You can find me on Instagram at OutandAboutAF. Take care of yourself, and we'll catch you on the next episode.